We see Americans. We see human beings. We don't see groups. We don't see victims. We don't see people we want to exploit. What we see is potential. We do not look out across the country and see the average American, the person that makes this country work. We do not see that person with contempt. We don't think that person doesn't have what it takes. We believe that person can be the best he or she wants to be if certain things are just removed from their path, like onerous taxes, regulations, and too much government. American, there will always be an America, don't misunderstand, but we're talking about it remaining the country we were all born into and reared and grown into. And it's under assault, it's always under assault, but it's never been under assault like this from within.
Wherever we look now, it seems the world is as rife with negativity as it is with woke leftist secularism. And I have to admit, I used to watch this and was totally at a loss. As a student of the arts, I was entirely absorbed in that world, looking for something, anything true, good, and beautiful to cling to. And it was a challenging journey to claw my way towards sanity. But with God's grace and a bit of help from some friends along the way, I was able to not only open my eyes to the real world through history and scholarship, recognizing everything isn't as all as it seems, but I actually mustered the courage to reject the liberal globalism and nihilism that comes with it, and now to lead a movement of optimistic patriots all over the globe, building a parallel world of faith, family, and freedom. Over the years, I've shared my discoveries and analysis with hundreds of thousands of once, frankly, cowardly, confused, doomsday conservatives who've now in turn become courageous, optimistic patriots. And it changed this world.
The coronavirus has reached Australia.
China is urging its
foreign nationals coming from China are now banned.
Coronavirus presents a public health emergency in the United States.
But I don't know what's in the documents. They've turned over the boxes to the archives.
This is why patriots all over the planet are rising up in defiance of tyranny. From Paris to Pittsburgh, from Austria to Australia, from France to Phoenix. Tens of millions are rising up and declaring for all the world to hear that we are free men, and free men will not be ruled. This is who you are. You are the heart of this worldwide revolt, this global uprising. You are the heroes who refuse to sit idly by as our supposed representatives turn into despotic tyrants hell-bent on crushing the very values of faith, family, and freedom that have made this nation the beacon of hope for countless lives all across the globe. And yet I know that many of you are watching me right now. You're struggling. You're struggling with despondency and despair, struggling with doubt and fear over the future of our country. You're struggling over whether we're ever going to see another free and fair election again, struggling to find any semblance of hope, any glimmer of light in the midst of this present darkness. It kind of reminds me of what a bunch of ragtag, disheveled Scotsmen were once thinking, as they all lined up to face the most powerful army in the world. You could see it in their faces. They were disheartened, disorganized, hopeless in the face of the threat that stood before them. And just when they began to turn back, thinking all was lost, suddenly, a man by the name of William Wallace rode up alongside them and saw something that only a hero's eyes could see. As the men began to turn back, he cried out, "Sons of Scotland, I am William Wallace, and my allegiance is to Scotland. That's who I am." And when I look at all of you, do you know what I see? I see a whole army of my countrymen here in defiance of tyranny. You see, he refused to see them as their enemies saw them, a ragtag group ready to give up. Instead, he saw them for who they really were, and he reminded them of their true identity. You are a whole army of my countrymen, men I'm proud to fight alongside of as we stand together in defiance of tyranny. And then he said one of my favorite lines, "You have come here as free men, and free men you are." Fundamentally, you are not farmers, you're not goat herders, you're not tinkers, you're not a joke, you're not Neanderthals, you're not deplorables, conspiracy theorists, lunatics. You are free men. You have come to fight as free men, and free men you are. So now, what will you do with that freedom? Will you fight? Well, will you, fellow patriot? This is why I founded the Courageous Patriot Movement, the place for men and women to step into the truth, declaring that they will not be cowardly, but courageous, believing the best is yet to come, and living it out day by day. I founded the very movement that in many respects I needed all those years ago when I was a brand new conservative convert, lonely and confused by the deluge of information trying to twist the truth. The Courageous Patriot Movement mission is simple. We believe every time we worship and pray, every time we kiss our kids goodnight, every time we hug them and tell them we love them, we're not merely expressing our own personal sentiments. Together, we are changing the world. This is my great discovery. Do you believe that you're part of what scholars believe to be the single greatest conservative renewal the world has ever seen right now as we speak? I want to show you why I so heartily believe conservatives are winning, and our movement is proof. Our movement is a community of freedom lovers all over the world who receive this scholarship through my daily deep dive trainings, community events, access to the most influential conservatives across the globe, highlights of failing woke corporations, and my resources for establishing and securing your life outside of the liberal agenda so you can establish a legacy that will endure for centuries. Here in our movement, friendships have been born, people have returned to church, and even lives have been saved. I invite you to join me. As Ronald Reagan famously said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on for them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States, where men were free. Now is the time we fight for and protect our freedoms. This is it. I invite you to join the growing community in the Courageous Patriot Movement. And as we stand together, we're going to fight for what is good. And we are going to say to our enemies that no matter what they try to take away from us, no matter what, they will never, ever, ever take our freedom. Join us now by clicking below. God bless.